Even though Henry Winkler's parents got away from Nazi Germany, they couldn't stop calling their son Dumb Dog. He felt ashamed as a child. Going to school was awful. He was bad at reading and math. After that came Hollywood. The famous motorbike that he rode so badly took a lot of work for him. He wasn't really friends with other group members as it seemed. His life was forever changed by the strange choices made by TV bosses. Furchettle would die if they knew the truth about what happened to Henry Winkler. His birthday is October 30th, 1945, and he was born in Manhattan. In 1939, his parents got away from Nazi Germany just in time. They left everything behind. His uncle did not make it. He was late, and the Holocaust killed him. The family will always remember that terrible event. Henry's childhood was like having a shadow over it. His dad fixed up their New York lumber business. His mom also worked there. They thought that money and schooling would keep them safe. Henry didn't work with their plan, though. He didn't understand school. He worked hard, but nothing worked. His scores were bad. His parents didn't know what was going on. When he failed, they called him a dumb dog. To punish him, they took away his TV, wouldn't let him go outside, and did it all over again. He wasn't slack. He just couldn't say what was wrong. It wasn't quiet in his house either. His parents had a lot of fights. There were loud fights in their house. He thought he was small and never did anything right. He felt very bad about himself by the time he was in high school. He thought he was not smart. No one knew he had trouble reading. He was bad at reading. He was bad at spelling. It was awful to do math. He was told to go to the corner. People in his class laughed when he stumbled over words. Not a soul knew how bad it hurt. He didn't know he had a real problem. He learned about it when he was 31 years old. His nephew was the first one to get sick. That's when Henry finally got it. He wasn't to blame. Afterward, he told me I wasn't dumb. I had a name for something. Everything changed at that time. It made sense of why school was always so hard and why he had to remember everything instead of reading. However, he had been unwilling to give up even before that. He made a choice when he was 14. He wanted to be a movie star. That made his parents mad. He was asked to join the family business, but it felt different to act. He felt no shame when he went on stage. He was no longer lost. He was been in a school play when he was in the 8th grade. Some people clapped. He didn't feel broken for once. The cheers stuck with him. He kept looking for that feeling. He learned how to remember lines better. He found ways to hide the fact that he had trouble reading. He avoided writing in high school by taking part in conversations. Even in class, he knew how to put on a show. His charm protected him. He kept going after high school. He used 28 different schools and only got into 2 of them. Boston's Emerson College was one of them. Emerson was his choice, and he studied drama, in case he also studied how kids think and feel. The first 2 years, he almost failed, but something worked on stage. He played the lead role in Peer Gynt. His teachers saw real skill in him that other students couldn't. He joined a club, made friends, and slowly became more sure of himself. He got his diploma in 1967. After many years, the same school gave him an honors doctorate. He tried to do something even bigger that same year, a theater school at Yale. It wasn't likely. It was hard to do the tests. He had to put on a Shakespeare show, but when the time came, he couldn't think of anything. He forgot every word. After that, he did something brave. He made things up. He fixed it right away. It worked in some way. They saw how talented he was right away. They let him in. It was a nice break for him. There was a lot of pressure at Yale. It was hard to write scripts. He kept reading them even though it took him days. He remembered things and went with his gut. When he forgot something, he confidently made something up on the spot. The teachers did not notice. His classmates liked how active he was. He later said that he had never read a script word for word. He did what worked for him. He got his Master of Fine Arts in 1970. Only 11 of the 25 actors made it through the whole show. He was one of them. He was chosen to be in the Yale Repertory Theater that same year. Chance was only given to 3 kids. He made $173 every week. Shakespeare, Brecht, new plays, and creative works. He played all sorts of instruments. He worked all the time. It turned out to be the best place to learn. Even back then, dyslexia was not talked about. More work had to be done to get ready than anyone else. He took days to remember what other people read in hours. He made things up when the plans didn't work. No one knew about it because he got so good at it. Later, when he was in Neil Simon's plays, he asked for the script months ahead of time. That's how he dealt with it. He thought he had finally gotten his big break in the fall of 1971. He had just finished a regular run at the Yale Repertory Theater, where he made $173 a week. Then, he was cast in Moon Children at Washington, D.C.'s famous arena stage. But the dream that began turned into a nightmare. Alan Schneider, the director, fired him after only 3 weeks of practice. The reason was very strong. It was never meant for Winkler to stay. He was just a stand-in until the director's favorite character became available, the shock hit Winkler. In the end, he said that his head felt like cream cheese and that the director's words seemed to come from a long way away. It was so sad that he put his snow tires back on his car and cried the whole way back to New York City. That lonely ride home wasn't just because they lost their job. It was about giving up hope. He kept telling himself that he might not be good enough to make it. He might not act ever again. Winter didn't want to quit, though. He thought of a plan when he got back to New York. If important theater work wasn't going to pay the bills, maybe ads would. He got about 30 ads between 1971 and 1973. It wasn't exciting, but he got steady work, which is something every actor needs. He joined the Manhattan Theater Club with that cushion and did free shows on stage. It was no longer about the money. He was trying to get better, stay in the game, and show himself something. He also joined a comedy group called Off the Wall New York at the same time. It was a good idea. He was free because of commercials. He gained respect in theater, and improvised scenes pushed him in ways that scripted ones never could. All of these things helped him grow in every way. After that, he tried his luck on Broadway. The play Winkler was in on Broadway was called 42 Seconds from Broadway, and it opened on March 11, 1973. That would be a moment that most artists would never forget. But for the wrong reason, this one stood out. The show ran from the first night to the last. There was only one show. It took years of work, hope, and goals to get to this point. Gone in less than 24 hours, Winkler made a promise to himself that night. He would fix that one day. One bad night wasn't going to be the main point of his story. In the same year, he began to work in movies. A dirty story about Brooklyn greasers in the 1950s called The Lords of Flatbush gave him a part. He played Butchie Weinstein, and Sylvester Stallone, who was unknown at the time, was one of his co-stars. Getting to be on screen in the low-budget movie helped him learn. At about the same time, he got a part in Crazy Joe as a character called Manny. These weren't big hits in Hollywood, but they were important. They showed him a new way to go. Even though he wasn't told he had dyslexia, he still had trouble with auditions, especially cold reads. He learned how to get around it, though. He came up with his own way to read lines and show how he felt. People kept giving him jobs because they could see his raw talent, which was hidden by quiet anxiety, but hard to ignore. Something strange happened that summer. His agent kept telling him he should go to Hollywood. He didn't believe it was for him. His background was in stage work, and he saw himself as a New York performer. But in the end, he decided to give Los Angeles a try for 1 month. He paid for the trip with the money from his ads and brought his friend Perry King with him to help him. They got to LA on September 18, 1973. Everything changed in just 5 days. Winkler had a guest spot on the Mary Tyler Moore Show. People saw my small part on one of the most watched shows in the country. That split the door open. Then came the auditions. The interest rose. After a while, Hollywood didn't seem so far away. That first part, as a strange dinner guest, led to a second tryout. And that second tryout was for Good Times. It was only 6 lines long. He wasn't what the designers were hoping for. They were looking for a tall, blonde beauty. That wasn't Winkler. He was 5 feet 6 inches tall, had dark hair, and nothing like that. He was called back for one more try, though. Yesterday, October 30, was his birthday. He walked into the room, changed his voice, and read the lines. Then he threw the script into the air and left without saying a word. The whole room just stared. He got the call late that same day. He had the part, but he asked for one thing. He didn't just want to be a cool guy. He wanted to show that this person cared about other people. Not only did that brave audition get him the job, it also changed the past of TV. Winkler's Fonzie was only meant to be a sidekick when Happy Days first aired in January 1974. Like all 1950s greasers, the script for the first show told him to stand in front of a mirror and comb his hair. Winkler thought that was too clear, though. So, when the cameras came out, he put the comb down, looked at himself in the mirror, and nodded like a king. It was clear what he meant. Fonzie didn't need to do anything to his hair. It was great already. The producers tried to stop him, but Winkler didn't give up. That little move became what made Fonzie so charming, peaceful, sure of themselves, and naturally cool. The character went from having a small part to becoming a star in an instant. That cool picture almost never took off, though, because of his jacket. They were afraid that letting Fonzie wear leather would make him look like a bad guy. So, they made Winkler wear cloth jackets for the whole first season, including a bright green one that didn't look right at all. Gary Marshall, who ran the show, had a thought. To keep Fonzie safe, he only let him wear leather when he was near his motorbike, which he worked out with ABC. Marshall began adding Fonzie's motorcycle to almost every scene. It worked even though it didn't always make sense. By season 2, the leather jacket was always there. It became so famous that Winkler gave one to the Smithsonian in 1980. It is still there as a piece of American culture. That bike did have a secret, though. He wasn't even close to being able to ride it. He was really scared of motorbikes. He rode it uphill just once for 17 seconds, and that was it. They asked him to move the bike a few feet one day on set. He couldn't tell the buttons apart because he had trouble reading. He turned the gas pedal, but couldn't find the stop, so he sped up. The film team jumped out of the way. He and the bike went under a truck. They ran over, but not to check on him. Instead, they wanted to see if the rented bike was broken. They then thought of a trick. They put the bike on a piece of wood with rubber wheels and pulled him around like a child in a wagon. It's funny, but the bike itself was popular once. Steve McQueen used the same one in The Great Escape. Happy Days began in January 1974, but Fonzie was never meant to be a star. He only had 6 lines in the pilot. It was meant to be about Richie Cunningham, played by Ron Howard. Things changed, though, in December of that year. People went crazy when Fonzie got the stage in a Christmas episode. More than 20,000 screaming fans crowded into a Dallas department store just to see Winkler while he was on a work tour. It got a lot of attention. That's what ABC saw. And began to change the show around Fonzie. They even thought about calling it Fonzie's Happy Days instead. He was the lead by season 3. For Christmas, the network gave each cast member a bag that matched. The VCR Winkler got was worth a lot of money. Afterward, Ron Howard said that he felt pushed to the side on his own show, but Fonzie kept getting bigger. The Smithsonian got his leather jacket. In every home, people would say his catchphrases, "I and sit on it." TV Guide named him the 4th best TV character of all time in 1999. When Happy Days finished in 1984, Henry Winkler was one of the most well-known people in the United States. But after the cameras stopped rolling, no one called him on the phone. He wasn't hired by anyone for almost 10 years. He was only the fonts. People in charge couldn't look past the cool guy image, the leather jacket, or the catchphrases. Henry said it hurt him mentally and made him unable to do anything. Having a family that loved him and a place to live didn't make him feel safe. He turned down the lead in Grease so that he wouldn't be stuck in a certain role. It didn't matter, though. They only saw Fonzie in every interview room. It broke him. He didn't give up, though. He changed his mind instead. And he started his own business, Fair Dinkum Productions, in secret while things were going well. He had a deal with a big company by 1987. He was no longer just playing. Real projects were being made by him. MacGyver was one of the biggest. It became a huge hit and even won a Genesis Award in 1991. He also helped bring The Sure Thing, Reports, and So Weird to life. It started to show up in the credits again, but this time he wasn't in front of the camera. He was still in the game because of that. Then he jumped again, this time to direct. He made the touching movie Memories of Me with Billy Crystal in 1988. After 5 years, he directed Cop and a Half, which starred Burt Reynolds. Even though it wasn't a big hit, Ron Howard's company made it. That Ron Howard